We're talking about COVID-19 and what's happening in Washington and how it'll affect us right here in the heartland. Good afternoon. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. Here's my conversation with Nebraska Congressman Jeff Fortenberry. I first want to give hats off to you because you've taken it to the next level, holding town hall meetings where folks can be a part of these meetings, find out more information without ever having to leave their home.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Susan. In fact, I put a document together that anyone is welcome to go look at on my website, fortenberry.house.gov, that outlines what the federal response right now is. And the simplest way to do it and to think about it in the midst of all of this onslaught of information and constantly shifting circumstances is it's a threefold response. First was the medical response to make sure that there are adequate supplies and treatment and planning going on, and the possibility of the development of a vaccine. So Congress came together. We passed that bill on a bipartisan basis, moved $8 billion toward those considerations. Secondly, we passed a bill to help both people who work as well as small businesses. And there's a couple of key provisions in that. Anyone who's had to go home on sick leave because they've got coronavirus or have to care for someone who has coronavirus, or their child has to be cared for at home because they've been sent home, will receive 14 days paid sick leave, even if they work in a small business that doesn't have that. Now, the small business will be reimbursed for that by the federal government. The other thing that just happened is the Treasury Secretary has announced that small businesses taxes are not due on April 15th. You still have to file, but there's a 90-day reprieve from that. In addition to that, we've greatly enhanced Small Business Association loan options, and there'll be more information forthcoming on that. The third tranche of this is a much bigger package to help the overall economy of the United States. The hospitality industry, restaurant industry, travel industry has just been decimated. And as that negative multiplier hits the overall economy, it affects more and more service sectors. People are reducing hours, having to lay off people. And so the idea in this next economic package, which should be coming in short order, is to move help to small businesses that are in dire circumstances, direct financial assistance, and individuals who need cash. There might be some broader assistance packages for larger industries hard hit, but this is no big bailout for big businesses. This is direct help for small businesses and persons in need. We've also greatly expanded some of the unemployment compensation programs, or the unemployment compensation, and help with those who have food insecurity. So those are the components of what has happened thus far and what is getting ready to come. Members of Congress are spread across their districts all across the country. I'm trying to do the best I can with my staff, mostly working virtually to try to take care of people who have individual emergencies. I took a call today, for instance, from someone who was stranded in Peru and their kids were here. So to the degree that we can help anybody out there with something specific like that, we're also here. But we will continue, and I'm more of a senior member on the Appropriations Committee, to put together this broad package very quickly that helps our overall economy, primarily to small businesses and individuals who need cash.
Well, Congressman, so many folks are worried. The stress level factor is there. Obviously, their children are home. They're trying to be, do school on virtual online. They're trying to work virtually from home. They worry about the money. And then to add to it, they worry about getting COVID-19. So there's a lot of stress factors that are being worked in. And it's good to see that there's some help coming their way that'll hopefully help relieve some of those stresses.
There is a very, very significant large government response underway. As you've seen in the last 2 weeks, there's some stops and starts in terms of the medical response. We've not faced something like this before. This is a pandemic, the cost of which, both in terms of individual health and lives and the economy, is not fully known. So the main thing now, obviously, is social distancing, not gathering in larger groups. I think the guidance now is 10 people who can work and who need to go to work, but obviously certain distance needs to be enacted, and then we're gonna move funds to people who actually need help. And again, unemployment compensation will be enhanced, as well as food security programs. So these are all of the variety of things that are going on. But I know that those words just can't take away the full burden of the worry in people's hearts. This is very worrisome. It's very troublesome. We're in a crisis as a nation, and we're all doing our best to respond through innovative solutions, both at the government level as well as partnering with private industry to move supplies to the right place quickly.
We've seen a lot of trickle down effect for what's happened with COVID-19 as well, Congressman. I know that you're a part of this biofuels caucus that has been working with the administration. We're seeing the ethanol industry get hit very hard, and a lot of worries. It goes right back to what we were just talking about, the whole financial side of everything for these small towns.
Oh, we're in the midst of an economic shrinkage. There's no other way to say it. Now, the government's, it's a fancy word, stimulus, if you will, is going to help. But look, this is America. We're in a moment of crisis. Everybody's got to do their part and do what they can. Everybody's going to have to sacrifice here. And as we learn more about particular sectors that are hit harder, and obviously the transportation and fuel sector, as well as the agricultural sector, is a second and third order after the hospitality sector and the shrinkages that occur there. But very fortunately, we've got a sound food supply. Agriculture is what we call a regenerative industry. In other words, the hen's going to lay another egg tomorrow. And so that's a good thing. I just got off the phone, by the way, with the Secretary of Agriculture. And we talked about this very, very fact. Our food supply is sound. There has been no disruptions, either from the processor or through logistics all the way to the retailers. And we've got adequate supply. And in fact, restaurants have oversupply right now. So that's one of the good news pieces here. The dynamics of people moving to shopping online are going to mitigate this as well. And frankly, one of the business associations here is they're going to put out a way in which we can all perhaps buy gift cards from small businesses that we would normally be shopping at, and that helps move cash into their pockets as well. So to the degree that people can do that, I think it's a very good idea to go ahead and buy a card if they have the cash, and that'll help their favorite small business.
It's great you mentioned that, because there's a small movement that's been taking place that I've seen just from Nebraskans, and I'm hoping this is nationwide, but they're using the hashtag Takeout Friday, encouraging people to go to those small mom and pop businesses that are still open and doing takeouts and order your lunch or supper tomorrow night.
Oh, I was not aware of that one. Thank you for telling me that. That's great. No, one thing we need to do, in fact, the Treasury Secretary himself said it on a call with us. He said restaurants need to leave their drive-throughs open and shift to that model as best they can, because this is frankly one of the ways in which we feed people. And I've been on the phone with restaurateurs all week about the various dynamics that they've been facing in terms of the shrinkage. It's really serious and really difficult. May I make a more optimistic projection while I have you, though?
Oh, very much so, please.
I think through this week, what we're doing is we're seeing enhanced medical testing and the medical infrastructure absorb more and more people who potentially may have the virus. And once tests are out there and are given in a broader way, we're going to see a spike of the increase of cases. That's just reality. But then I think we'll see a leveling off, and we'll understand the magnitude of the problem. We'll understand who is in the most vulnerable circumstances, even if they have it, and they'll get the proper care and attention. And then we'll start to see a fall off. And then when that happens, people will be able to return to work. So we're hopeful that this situation where we do provide a large stimulus package, moving funds directly to small businesses, people who need cash, get us through the next couple of weeks, and then we get back at it. And then I think things are going to roar back. And I think we'll look back at this time with a certain amount of, if you will, solidarity, where people actually had compassion for one another and we pulled together as a nation. You're going to get the typical griping politically, which is very tiresome and annoying, frankly. But this is about us being the best, not only for ourselves, but for our neighbor and for our country.